One. Hi, and welcome to Season 3 of Money Talk. Season 3 of Money Talk is a little different than the previous 2 seasons because this season we're diving into the stories that not only test your own strength, but they test your spirit. And those spirits have been tested, let me just tell you, and it's not because we're coming into the Halloween season. The stories that ask, how do you rise when life tries to break your spirit? And this is a period of time for reflection. It's a period of time for rebuilding. It's a time of resilience. And for me, it's not about bouncing back. I don't want to bounce back. I want to bounce beyond. When I lost my home, I learned that destruction doesn't always come to you in flames. And I think, there we go. Because this is what home became. After 30 years, a fire without warning came in and took that home. And what I've got left is, well, let's try to make it home again. I learned that destruction doesn't come just in the flames. Sometimes it comes in whispers, in words that wound your name, in the moments that shake your identity. I felt like this was my identity. This is not. So it becomes really clear that you can't control the storms. But here's the great news about storms. They eventually end. And when you can't control the storm, but you can decide who you're going to be when it clears up, that's because even from the ashes, we rise. Not as the same as before. And remember what I said, I'm not looking to bounce back. I want to bounce beyond, stronger, clearer, and be grounded, not drowned, be grounded in my truth. So I have 2 things I would like you to do right now. One of them is share light. Share this. Don't keep it to yourself. Give it to other people that need inspiration, that need help, that need that positive affirmation that there's more and we can do more. And the other is stay tuned because I'll be right back.
I can show you how to be strong. Come on, follow me. Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up, look up, look up, look up.
I got something to give. I have something to say. You know you got something to do.
Welcome to the stage, Linda Kaye.
Our guest today knows a lot about that kind of storm because she's lived it publicly, painfully, and powerfully. Once a Red Bull spokesmodel, this celebrity painfully had to overcome that. And as a celebrity chef, she built a thriving wellness business and a brand and an audience of millions of people. You want to talk about influence? We've got it. But behind the spotlight came those shadows, betrayal, legal battles. I know a thing or two about a legal battle, and I can tell you they're not fun, they're distracting, they take your energy, and you have to get up and keep going and keep moving. The heartbreak of watching her name being dragged through the mud. And yet, she didn't fight back with bitterness. And I think that's an interesting thought because it's very, very easy for us to go to that side, that dark side, where that shadow lives. It says, you've done me wrong, and be bitter about it. But she fought that with healing. And she transformed her pain into purpose, rebuilding her business, her reputation, and her faith through holistic wellness, intuitive healing, and spiritual strength. Today, she teaches others to do it, to protect their energy, reclaim their power, and find peace in the middle of chaos. I am talking about none other than Andrea Leigh Cox. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I am so delighted. I just got chills, and I love it when a guest gives me chills. Understanding who you are and understanding the things that you've been through. The challenge is always, how do you maintain a positive attitude? And sometimes even, when we are in that business of helping people maintain attitudes, we still have to look within. I can tell you that, I'm having PTSD about the fire of my own home and the loss and what that loss represents. And yet you have to keep going. You have to show the public face. You have to give the opportunity to others to look beyond their misery or their misfortune whatever that is. For me, that's just one part of the healing part of that. And I think that from all the things that you've been through in the last few years, Andrea, you can pick one, pluck it right out of there, pluck it out of your hat of misery, and just talk about just one thing that really got to you, one thing that really wanted to destroy your spirit, and how you were able to not only get up and keep going to overcome it. Pick one, because I know there's a hat full of
Yeah,
these.
yeah, and like you say, Linda, PTSD is very real. I think, being a fitness and glamour model in my younger days, being on literally hundreds of fitness magazines and being a spokesmodel for different companies, the eating disorder, the bulimia, the anorexia I had in my younger years, in my 20s. I can remember standing over a toilet bowl. I had just left a 12-year relationship where I had built a home with someone in Ohio, and I had moved back in with my mom, and it was Valentine's Day, and I was working at Saks Fifth Avenue as a model, and I had come home and I had binge ate, and I was standing over the toilet bowl forcing myself to vomit. I think I had even used like syrup of Ipecac, something really bad. And I remember thinking, and I was in my 20s, I'm in my late 40s. I remember thinking, this is it. There was a purpose for this. I'm going to help other women that struggle with overeating and weight gain or undereating and bulimia and anorexia. I am going to become a healer, and this is the last time this is ever going to happen. And it was. So I think the only thing that got to me would be the eating disorder and loss I've experienced in my life.
Let's explore that for just a minute, because I have, people in my life that are struggling with the same issues, and they battle it over and over again. It's like an addiction. I don't understand it. I eat and I enjoy, but I also have a valve that says stop. But I'm also not in a bikini where, and thank God, I'm not in a bikini. But having to maintain a life that people are looking at, saying you have to be this. You're the it girl. You're it, and you have to maintain this level. That's got to be a lot of pressure. So looking at the pressure of it, but then looking at, how am I going to maintain this? Because I'm sure that you were dieting, you were exercising, you were doing all those things. When did it become an option for you? Like, okay, I can just, I'm going to do the unthinkable. How did
Mhm. I think it was my surroundings. I was with I remember I had made friends with a girl from Romania named Sandra, and she was a really attractive model, and it's what she did. So she kind of taught me, oh, well, when you eat too much, you do this. And so it became an issue to where I started, and it only lasted a very short time with me. It was about a year and a half of my life that I struggled in that way. And then I found raw living foods that really transformed my life, where I could eat abundantly. And I went vegan. I've been vegan 30 years now. So that is how I transformed that. I had no idea that later on I would deal with even more severe problems along the way. But those were all brought on by others. I think the reason the eating disorder got to me, Linda, was because it was self-induced. It was something, it was punishment of myself.
Thank you for saying that. And I wonder, at some point you're looking into it. I mean, you're looking at what's happening. You feel a loss of control and a sense of wanting to have control, and not. So there's that weird balance that goes on. But there's a part of you that says, this is awful. I mean, we've seen plenty of celebrity in this bulimia, from Princess Diana to heck, the Karen Carpenter, who died from the complications of her bulimia, that she was never able. So you're really incredibly fortunate to have gotten a handle on it and be able to turn it into something healthy. But the self-loathing, there's a piece of that. Is it in the back of your head, that cave woman that says you don't deserve to be in the spotlight, or you don't deserve this, and so you should do that? I mean, Is there, talk to me about,
I think
that battle that's back here.
yeah,
It's always something to
I
us.
think I always, and that'll lead me into my next victory and challenge I had to face. I always knew I did deserve to be on the spotlight. I was asked to go on a Fox TV show. I was in modeling when I was very young. I was approached at an Atlanta airport to do a magazine by a woman who was married to a photographer. I'm tall, I'm blonde, I have a beautiful smile, green eyes. I knew that I was, and I articulate myself well. So I always felt deserving. But then along my way, I met people who wanted to knock me down, who really felt their place to tell me, you know what, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve this. And so I'm going to hide in the shadows from behind a TV screen or a computer screen in the comments section of your videos and your photos and make you feel that you're deserving. And I think that was when I really
insidious. Oh my God, Andrea, I can't imagine. I mean, it's bad enough somebody doesn't like you or doesn't subscribe or they unsubscribe or they take you out of a feed, but to go into a comment section where you don't really control that and spew that kind of evil, that kind of
years. Yeah.
It's not only is it mean spirited, but this person or these people know what they're doing, which makes it even worse. Well, how did that?
Yeah. So, I was targeted from 2012 onward by an actual couple, a duo. It started off when I left a man after a brief relationship who knew his way around a computer, knew his way in tech, knew his way in marketing. And I started noticing spam bots showing up on my social media and all kinds of really odd things that just weren't the norm. And at that time, I had worked with Stephen Sater, the Tony Award-winning playwright who wrote with Burt Bacharach. I had worked with Chris Knight off the Brady Bunch. I had worked with, the pro basketball players, a pro football player for the Chicago Bears. So I was going on the news a lot. And because this person felt rejected or not enough, I started being attacked. And then later on, he met someone that I had no idea, didn't know her, and then he brought her on to continue the attacks on me. And this was done online, for years. And it was only after I spoke out about it. I remember right before COVID hit, I logged on to my first ever Zoom, and I was on a brand new laptop, no computers, not even computers of my, no photographs, not even photographs of my beloved dog were on my computer. And his photo showed up as my profile photo for my first Zoom session. And that's
you've been hacked.
Okay, right. My iCloud account's been hacked. Yeah. And when I spoke out about that, wouldn't you know, when I spoke out on a public platform, I think at the time I only had like 20,000 followers on Facebook. Wouldn't you know, they were the first two, that couple people, to chime in the comments and say, how dare you? How dare you? And of course, when you speak out about something, the guilty are going to come and reveal themselves. And that's exactly what happened. And that started a whirlwind of nonsense. So in 2023, I filed a cease and desist. I used a reputable attorney, paid about $2,000, filed a cease and desist against this couple. And then I was hit with a restraining order, a false allegation from a woman I had never met, this woman, claiming she feared for her and her kids' lives. And yet I had never met her, just because I was speaking the truth. And then after that, this just happened again, where she tried to do it again. Both times it went in my favor, of course. Now I have since filed protection against them, and I'm hoping that closes the door. But I think...
But wait a minute. What you just said, you are trying to close the door on evil. Does evil want to close that door or let you close it?
Of course not, because...
No.
I
so
think
when one door closes, they open a window. They get on a conveyor belt. They find other ways to get in. They use people to try to get to you.
Yeah, they've tried everything from doing videos on me, literal videos on their content, to creating fake accounts and sending photos to me, and then even lying in a court of law using screenshots of my social media. Even a loving post I did about a gentleman that was recently assassinated, Charlie Kirk. I just said, it's a shame that someone is assassinated for freedom of speech. That's all I said. And she didn't use that in a courtroom claiming that that was targeting her. I mean, a very kind of narcissistic, look at me, pick me energy, really attacking an innocent woman that is just trying to help people heal. And so when as a Pisces, I'm very sensitive, we're very emotional. I had to really tap into that Scorpio side of myself and be like, you know what, enough's enough. I spent the last 2 weeks in an Arizona courtroom getting legal documents to protect myself, because enough, I've had enough. And,
Right.
it's sad that someone can create an entire false case about you just with false people that don't exist, claiming, oh, but this person sent me this, and screenshots of my social media. It was crazy. But the beauty in this, and I don't want to give them any more play on here, the beauty of this is, out of this was born a second business on teaching people how to raise their vibrational frequency and to protect their energy from really entities and people who dabble in witchcraft, people who dabble in the dark arts, people who hack people, people who troll people online, people who attack people's reputations. So this has built a very beautiful second business for me, where I literally teach people, you know what, you're dealing with this person or your ex-husband who's attacking you online. Here are the steps you do. First and foremost, you take care of your physical body, because the physical body, our vessel, when this is not healthy, our power is gone. So we have to put our health first. We have to raise our vibrational frequencies through the foods we eat, through the companies we eat, or through the company we keep, and through the way we go about our daily routine. Are we getting up? Are we getting body movement? Are we getting the sun on our face? Are we hydrating with lemon water? Or are we just going straight to the coffee pot and dehydrating ourselves and putting...
Guilty as charged, I'm afraid, Andrea. The coffee pot is, well, actually, water is the first thing
I've got
I
a
get.
little coffee right here. I've got a little coffee right here.
This is such a great segue, because, I'm so glad that you prefaced this with what that energy is, and identified it for what it is. It's evil. And it's evil intent. So it can come in different forms. One of my brothers was literally attacked by somebody that he had in his house. And this man found his way into bank accounts and into his identity and stole his identity. I am so grateful I've never had this exposed, but I've had, plenty of people talk about it. And, Yogi Bear says, if they stop talking about you, you don't really matter anymore. But that's not what I mean. What I mean is that when you found your spiritual warrior, you found that not only was it your strength, but we all want to, when we have something that really works for us, is we want to go out and we want to share it with others. And I want to take that price of visibility, being a target and living in the spotlight, and how to rebuild after your public attacks, but how you use spiritual warfare and protection to help you navigate those negative energies, those emotional boundaries, and the energetic attacks. Because I think this is a really important message for our listeners to hear, and who knows, clearly I need this message today, Andrea. So please spend a few minutes with us talking about the very thing that you just talked about, which is bringing that spiritual truth, spiritual energy, and what we are surrounding our minds and our hearts and our bodies with, to be able to energetically heal ourselves and start bringing in the right energy. Please.
Well, you've been through so much with what you've been through, losing your home in the Pacific Palisades. I wouldn't even know where to begin. The pain and the anger and the answers I would want. I think with me, it recently I had my dog who's been with me over 2 decades. He's 25. He had an injury. He was sick, and I think with me, the awakening came one day when I realized that this precious animal who I love more than life itself, more than I even love myself, I had overlooked an injury because I had been dragged into a nonsense court battle with someone I had never met who's obsessed with me online, who literally built a case on screenshots of my Facebook account. That's crazy. And I realized that, okay, not only am I not going to ever allow this to affect me again, they literally don't exist. I am going to protect myself legally, and I am going to create something that brings in even more abundance to offset the abundance I had to pay to, just even defend myself against nonsense. And again, everything went in my favor.
You're talking about, certainly the price. When we talk about price of visibility, not only are you in the limelight and people will have a certain amount of jealousy about something like that, or find, that they get attention by doing something, but the tools, just like a warrior would go to war and they would not go unarmed. So you started with, I'm going to protect myself legally.
Yeah,
right?
energetically. Yeah, energetically was first because these people dabble in the dark arts, which you and I both know are very real. Unfortunately, you live in near Los Angeles, so you know that exists in the industry and things like that. I first learned to protect myself energetically, so everything sent my way, my animal's way, would be sent directly back. And then after I equipped myself with those tools, I went and protected myself legally. And then, the third thing I did was I made a conscious decision that not only would these two people never, ever get a foot into even being able to file something against me again, but if they do, there would be, legal consequences. I also decided to create a safe shield around my home, meaning energetically, like bless my home. I planted a crystal grid. I cleanse my dogs on a regular basis myself. And I then did a water fast. I just completed a small 3-day water fast. I've done longer ones before, to energetically release this into the ethers and to really send a message of, here's the mirror to see what you've been doing. You are no longer welcome to play Russian roulette in my life when you don't even know me. And I think what that does on an energetic and physical level, and you said spiritual warrior, that is exactly what I am. I actually thank them because what they're doing is preparing me for becoming much bigger in my field. They tried for years to hold me back in my field, him behind the scenes and her reporting my content. In fact, that's what evoked the original cease and desist, was I found out who was reporting my content on Meta. And I know that their attacks on me is actually preparing me for something much bigger, because new level, new devils, right? I mean, the bigger you know.
Is that ever true? New devil.
So I actually thank them. Thank you for preparing me for this next level I'm about to ascend to, while you stay,
where they're stuck, where they don't get to move up. They get to continue down in the doldrums where they're spending their time. Talk to me about you caught my ear on you built a crystal fortress or barricade around. So tell me about I see them very present at the front in the top of of your screen. I could see them. I think that's a lucite.
Oh yeah, this is a beautiful crystal. I got this one in Las Vegas. It's too heavy to lift.
Oh my goodness, that is beautiful.
And I have an amethyst that's actually taller than me, and I'm about 5'11", so I have so I'm very into the crystals. So
That's
the
goddess material there, Andrea. I'm just saying.
this is really heavy. So the crystal grid, I had actually
The crystal grid. Okay, I like that.
the crystal grid I had planted when I moved here 3 years ago. And I actually plant them around every home I've lived in. And it's just a grid of specific crystals, just lightly buried about a foot underground in the specific corners of the home to protect the energetic frequency of the home. And I do the same in the house. So inside the house, there is a crystal in every corner. Usually I have like a biblical saying under it, even because I was raised in the church. So in every single corner of the home, I burn Mayan copal a lot, sage, Palo Santo, but I like to really cleanse my home once a week, big time. Salt on the hearth of the front door, the whole 9 yards. I feel like our homes, just like our bodies and like our animals, hold energy. And if we don't constantly keep it clean, just like I drink green juice every day, I treat the places I live in the same way, making sure it's clean, making sure it's tidy. I think that's vitally important. We really need to start looking at every area of our life, our car even. I sage my car, our home, our body as one, and we need to stop, treating these places we live in our the place we're going to live our whole entire existence in this earthly plane, our body, our human vessel, as a garbage can. We need to clean it up. And so that's what I do. So the crystal grid is in place. I feel that I'm going to be purchasing a home in a different state in the very near future. And I know that that's the first thing I'll do as soon as I relocate is definitely.
That's really amazing. Now, you overcame eating disorders and you figured out how to monetize the wellness. It was like, and you figured out the onslaught and public price of people jealous of what you do, and you fought back. Talk to me about your resilience online, how you have been able to rebuild your reputation and your faith after being so publicly targeted.
Oh, wow. Well, what they had done they had taken photos of a woman with a similar physique and put my face on the photos and spread them online. And I do believe he did that. I'm not sure if she even knew that he did that. And then they were using those photos and sending them to me, to family members, to clients online from an online account on Facebook. And so what I did to rebuild my my reputation is, number one, I've come out in 9 magazines this year alone: USA News, New York Weekly, so many, Wellness Magazine, the Digital Journal, shout out Arizona, shout out San Diego. There's been so many magazines that I've come out on this year alone, but also the past years. I'm always going on the news, always coming out in magazines, but also I started writing about it. My written work's been in Huffington Post and Your Tango and the Good Men Project, Mind Body Green. I started using my gift of writing to explain what I was going through and how I was healing, because we have to heal it. We have to feel it, rather, in order to heal it. So I used my voice and my writing to really put out there what had gone on. And I'll tell you, it worked. I have had so many women in particular, and a few men, who have reached out to me and been like, oh my God, my ex did the same thing. Oh my God, my ex. I even have a girlfriend that shared that her ex sent photos like that to her own parents and made up lies. And so I think it's a very common thing. People get hurt. They see someone rise that they break up with when they think, oh, that person's just going to stay right there. And the person rises far above them in business or whatever, and they get jealous. And that's exactly what happened to me. However, mine was different. This person, as he was being arrested, actually claimed, I will ruin you on the internet. So I knew that he had it out for me this whole time. I just never knew someone I didn't know would also jump on that bandwagon. But what I really think is important to remember here is Your reputation is important, and it took me quite a few years to speak up for myself. For years, I knew what was going on. I knew what they were doing to me. I knew was behind the fake accounts, and I stayed silent. And then one day, I had had enough, and I was
That's
like,
part of the lesson, though, isn't it?
"I'm sorry."
That's part of the lesson, isn't it? You
Well,
know,
it
because
is.
the problem will keep coming back. And like I said, you'll shut the door on it and it will find another insidious place to get back in. And then it's like whack-a-mole. You're trying to build your business and build your life. And here you've got other people trying to destroy it and take it down.
And
And we
what?
haven't really
Yeah,
talked about the cost of what that was and how much of your audience did you lose. But the face that and the
uh,
public, your public forward facing, and having to deal with that. You know, I was in a in a relationship where I broke it off, and I understand what you're talking about because this person wasn't upset that I wouldn't continue the relationship. He whispered to every one of my clients, to every one of our clients, and it was very public. It was in the entertainment industry. And all of a sudden, I became a parasite. I lost every single one of my clients. How did you get impacted, not just from the emotional part of this, but from the monetization? I want to talk about it because that's what just all of it just gets me. And when somebody isn't just mad and wants to get even, they don't want to get even. They want to destroy you, and that is different. Talk to me about that because Andrea, you
one
went
thing I know, yeah, and I'm sorry that happened to you. The one thing I never did was stoop to the same level to ever report their content or engage with them or even look at what they were doing. That is the number one rule from early on. I'm a Pisces. We tend to kind of only focus on ourselves. We're a little bit self-centered when it comes to creativity. So it was never a problem for me to kind of, ignore it because I wasn't looking at what they were doing. So when I ignored it, that's when I think they got pissed. Like, well, here, I'm going to report you. Now you're going to look. Here, I'm going to report you. It was real like we're talking about two people who do a lot of drugs. So it was very kind of poke you, immature energy. And, at first, when it first started happening, I knew. I was like, bro, I know this is you. And I know it's your site. Like, I know. And then people started sending me that my work was being plagiarized. One person sent me, oh my God, so-and-so copied the color of your website. That really never bothered me. What bothered me was that when they came after my social media, my platforms that I had built by myself. And I think what happened was this gentleman had told this woman he had built me. I had been going on the news when I lived in Ohio. I'd already written 2 books. He didn't do anything for me. In fact, I mean, he probably brought me down more than anyone else in my life in the short time I was around him, and definitely tried after. I think the number one thing you have to do when you have someone that you know is causing you problems is not to stoop to their level. Don't try to report their content. If they're online, don't try to report them to the IRS or the feds or whatever. Just know that karma has a way of coming around. And I love the saying, first you win, then you fight. And that's what I did. I watched this person make a joke out of themselves in a courtroom with their little song and dance and their BS lies and everything they were doing. And I thought, okay, right when this is over, right after I win, is when I'm going to start defending myself, because these are lies and I have the evidence. So it's very important not to show your hand, not to show what you have. I mean, I think we're up to like 160 pieces of evidence now, some forensics, that really show who these people are. And I have stayed silent and sat back and won. And now I'm ready to defend myself. I've had enough. So I think the 2 most important keys are don't stoop to their level. It was very, very easy, still is easy for me not to look at anything they do because I know it's all either stolen or BS or lies or inauthentic. So that was easy, but don't stoop to their level. And first you win, then you can fight.
First you win, then you fight.
Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you how important this message is, because people's lives and careers and their businesses have been destroyed by, seemingly uh, well-intended comments that were never well-intended comments. They were always designed to destroy and to hurt. So I think that's really incredibly critical that you shine a light on this. From an energy perspective, Andrea, how do you start your day? How do you make sure that you're not, uh, because many of our and much of our enemy is not seen, but it is felt. I always say you don't have to believe in gravity to feel its effects. The attitude of negativity is all around us, and evil is all around us. Some people call it the devil, some people call it Satan, so disembodied spirits, whatever that is. How do you protect yourself so that you are not the target?
Well, I start my day before the sun comes up. Not every day, and definitely during the past few months, it was difficult. But I love to start my day with a little lemon water. Oftentimes, I'll do a little colon cleansing, a little coffee enema, a little baking soda enema, a little wheatgrass enema. And I love to love on my dogs. I love to take them out into the yard and see what wildlife in the Sonora Desert. There's tons of wildlife. I love to see what's going on. So I play with my dogs. I give them their little raw goat yogurt. And I'm a huge advocate of Juice Plus because I'm a vegan. So I love to fill my little container here with some of their things. And I usually get on my elliptical and do a workout. I'll get in my sauna and sweat. But what I always do before any of that, right when I get out of bed, before even my lights come on, I have a little reading lamp, and I shine it on my Bible. And I like to put my thumb in my Bible and find where it lands, and whatever scripture it lands on, I read the scripture, and then it always seems to resonate with what I'm going through in that moment, or on that week, or on that particular day. And so for me, I've always had a close relationship with my ancestors who have crossed over, my grandma LaGolda, my father, Larry Michael, my grandma Geneva, and past dogs I've had. So I usually love to connect with them. I'll pull an oracle card from my oracle deck I created, the Lessons of the Mystical Muse. I like to have at least a 20-minute spiritual practice in the morning that consists of the oracle deck, the Bible, connecting with my ancestors, saying a prayer. That really, I feel, grounds me for the rest of my day. And then, hydration and, the body movement and things like that.
Give me just one recommendation. I have several that I use myself, and it's not necessarily incantations, but they are affirmations on how to protect yourself energetically. And say you're going into a difficult environment. You're getting ready to sit down with a client. You're getting ready to have a conversation with somebody. You get that sixth sense, and it isn't just a mistake. You're getting that information from throughout your chakras, or you're getting this from your higher self, and you're getting information about something, and you suddenly feel this sense, or this gut feeling of, I need to protect myself, right? Mm-hmm. What do you do to surround yourself with that energy that will create that protection around you, or around the?
Well, I think it's different if someone's at a far, or if you're walking into a room. If you're walking into a room, I hold a pretty strong energy with the way I stand, with the way I speak. I'm very assertive. I don't think a lot of people throw negativity at me in person, because I hold myself a certain way that says, I will not tolerate this, period. But if it's at a distance, you can actually, and this has been really helpful for one of my clients I'm working with now, you can actually imagine mirrors facing outward that just mirrors who they are to them. So if someone's throwing, like if you find yourself waking up and you have a fall, or you're having a lot of accidents or something, you think someone's throwing dark energy your way, and they can do this unconsciously too, just with their mind. I always imagine mirrors facing outward, like right back to you. This is you. This is you. This is you. this is you. I literally am encased in unconditional love and protection every day when I wake up. And I think people who do practice the dark arts and do things from a negative place and not from a place of love, it's always reflected in their face. When I just was involved in a court case, ironically, the girl's eye was all like infected and red and, the teeth. And I thought, wow, this really is an eye for an eye. I mean, this really, you're attacking someone with lies and you're not even making the connection of, you've got this massive like thing on your, face. And so
a narcissist wouldn't think that way. The narcissist would say somebody else did this to me and this is a result of being around you, that you did this, there's that. Exactly. I think we have a gift for our listeners also. I think Karen's going to put that up. Tell us what that is.
Oh, so they can get a free gift. I would love for them to connect with me on Facebook, Andrea Leigh, Leigh Cox, or on YouTube, Andrea Cox TV, or the Detox Intuitive. But and it's Raw Chef Andrea on Instagram. If you go
up on the screen right now, Karen.
Yes, if you go to so AndreaCox.com, you will, and you sign up for the newsletter, you automatically get right then. It'll show, here's your free gift. You will get a free healing protocol. There's about 6 or 7 pages to it. Read through that. I work with the #1 group of doctors in the U.S. and with them, we heal you physically, energetically, emotionally, and you also get a spiritually aligned, budget-friendly grocery list. And it's not just plant-based. If you're a meat eater, it's also good for you as well. But those two things will come to you right away. They'll be sent in your inbox right away.
Oh, I can't wait to get my hands on that. And you said the magic word that it includes meat, and because I'm not, I don't eat as much as I used to, but I still like that in my diet. That's really pretty cool.
Yes.
What's next for you and your wellness platform?
Oh, goodness. Well, we've got a second website coming out. It's about to be, it's being revamped right now, called the Detox Intuitive. So AndreaCox.com is my main website, but the Detox Intuitive is being literally rebirthed just to teach people how to raise their vibrational frequency and protect their energy. And I also have 2 books. One is called Feeding Lewis, and it is how I fed my little Lhasa Apso, who's 25 years young, all this time. And one called Cancel Yourself, which is about what I went through on my journey of learning to protect my work, my name, my creativity, etc.
Wow, those are really, I can't wait to take a look at the 2 books and download your free gift. I think that one of the magical things is the ability, the capacity and the ability to rebuild. You're not just, as I pointed this out at the very beginning of the show, it isn't rebounding and being resilient, because like a tennis ball, eventually that resilience wears out. I don't want to bounce back to where I was. I want to bounce out and beyond. And I think what you're demonstrating to everybody is that you've done exactly the same thing through your love and your action and your healing.
That's sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. And Andrea, thank you. I can't believe that we're out of time, but I want to thank you for your presence and for your joy, your energy, and for the enlightenment that you're sharing with people, that even being under attack, even having the losses, having that we are required to be the spiritual warriors that we are, because we are responsible for what we know. And when we know it, it is our gift and our responsibility to move it forward and to give it to others. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You've been wonderful. Thank you. Such a pleasure. And happy rebuilding. I know you're going to.
That's a ways off, but we'll figure that out as well. Thank you so much.
You will.
That's another show. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I got to tell you that sometimes the message just, the teacher and the messenger shows up and the student is ready. And today is no exception. So thank you, and thank you, Andrea. See you soon. Season 3 of Money Talk isn't just about money. It's about recovery, resilience, and expansion, so you can build back better. Your house doesn't have to burn to the ground, but if your business or your life has, and you're ready to share your story, I want to talk to you. Contact me at LindaK360 or call me at 424-395-2885. Remember, your setback is a setup for a comeback. And I promise you, you'll inspire others to get back up one more time with your story.